Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Temperatures dropped as low as -35 with the wind chill this weekend, but that didn't stop families from embracing a local holiday tradition. For more on the 14th annual Here Comes Santa Claus Day, here's Tate Laycraft.
The day kicked off at 10 a.m. with hundreds of kids along with their parents lining up for a chance to meet the big man himself. Around the city at May 6 Cinemas and the Olive Tree, free matinees and gingerbread house kits were also part of the holiday fun. New Lloydminster Nissan was a sponsor for the event as Kurt Price spoke to the community response.
This is an event we hear from parents that say, you know, they love and it's become ingrained in the community, so we're glad we could do it again.
Later, another Christmas character made an appearance of his own, but not everyone was excited to see him. Across the city and happening separately from Here Comes Santa Claus Day, the Coca-Cola Holiday Truck Tour was also making its stop in the border city at the Alouettes.
It's called Deliver the Magic to Canadians, which I think is quite fitting. And the tour is intended to deliver optimism to not only just our employees, because our employees, of course, are a big part of this, but to our customers and the communities that we serve at large.
Into the evening, to cap off the night, free hot chocolate was handed out via drive-through at City Hall just before fireworks lit up the sky. For Primetime Local News, I'm Tate Laycraft.
As we move closer to the holidays, an annual tradition in Lloydminster is looking for support from Border City residents in their 41st year. The Gift of Christmas is an event put on by the Olive Tree and Real Country 95.9 to make sure every kid in the Border City receives a Christmas gift.
We've been in it for, I think, 3 or 4 years now, which has been a lot of fun. But we collect toys in the community, local businesses and individuals donate. And then together with the Salvation Army and the public and Catholic school divisions, we provide gifts for kids that are in need in the community.
This year's event started in November and they're collecting until the end of the week. Before they were just accepting gifts for younger kids, but they've decided to add teens in as well.
Well, we're always short on boy gifts. I'm not sure if girls are preferred or they're cuter to buy for, but we're always short on boy gifts. And we're short for ages about 10, 12 and up, always very short on those, or gifts for teens. And I think it's because they're harder to buy for. So people kind of tend to go to the easier, cuter things. But we get requests for books, craft kits, slime making kits, rock tumbling, kind of like artsy craftsy stuff. We get lots of that.
This year is the 41st year for the Gift of Christmas, and throughout the years the Olive Tree has seen great support, and they're hoping that continues again in 2021.
We get the joy side of it, so we get to meet the families and the kids when they come in and the parents, and you know, there's a lot of crying on both sides, I think, in December, and we really get to enjoy that. And so I think just the message for us to the community is thank you. What you're doing is supporting local people, and it is making a difference.
There is a few drop-off locations across the Border City. All of them are listed on Real Country's and the Olive Tree's Facebook page. It's time now for this week's retrospect. Here's Blake Nath.
Week in retrospect. Back in 91, consumers make the most of their money during tough economic times.
Christmas is just around the corner, and what does that mean for local retailers? At the Lloyd Mall, merchants here say traffic is up and stock is moving a little better than last year, but the trend seems to be one of reserve. Retailers say because of the economic slowdown, consumers are being more cautious with their Christmas shopping dollar.
But they're being more careful. I think people are, especially high-ticket items, are being more careful and selective and maybe shopping around a little bit more.
Looking for the best deal. That seems to be the general consensus for most stores in the mall this Christmas season.
By all means, yeah, there's a lot. They're very cautious this year as far as price, as well as a lot of them are picking names and things like that.
One factor that does not seem to be hampering Christmas business is the 7% goods and services tax. Retailers say consumers may gripe, but it's not hurting their sales.
Well, everybody complains about it, but I don't think it's affected anybody buying stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to tell, but, everybody, they go, wow, grumble, grumble, I don't like the GST, but they pay it, and, we haven't seen a decrease in sales because of it.
And in 96, a look back at some very important holiday helpers.
This is one of the busiest mailboxes in the border city these days. The bright red container has become the focal point of the Kid Christmas campaign, getting the children's toy wishes to the big man himself. This is Darlene. For the past 15 years, she has been Santa's big helper at the Lloydminster Post Office. She became interested in the Santa letters when she picked them up and began to read about the thoughts and joys of local kids. This is the post office's Santa room, where the letters are answered by Darlene and other volunteers like Brian. Every day when the Battleford truck driver has a layover in Lloydminster, he picks up a pen to lend a hand.
I enjoy it. It's really interesting seeing what the kids want.
And he says many of the children don't just ask for toys. Peace on Earth, a little brother, and a request for someone sick to get well top the list. Many touching stories of divorce, separation, and other problems also appear.
Their parents would be quite surprised at the things that the children tell Santa Claus, but I mean, that's what he's there for. There's a couple that that I would like to do a little bit more for than just answer in a form letter. We get a lot of touching stories. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept, but we always hope that next year the letter's better.
And that's all for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Find New Holland products at Webb's Machinery, your dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, Lamont, Wainwright, St. Paul, and Consulate.
Now Shelby Clark will get a first look at this week's weather. Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast for here in the border city, we definitely have cooled down, especially yesterday on Sunday. If you felt that wind chill yesterday outside, it was definitely cold. And today we are sitting at -15 right now here in the border city with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds, but it definitely was feeling a little bit chillier now as we are heading more into the winter season. And with that wind chill, it is feeling like more like -23. So make sure you are bundling up when you go outside. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, as you can see, we have reached past those minus double temperatures here. Lac La Biche is sitting at -13, as well as in Vegreville and Wainwright, -17 in Cold Lake, while Bonnyville is sitting at -18, -16 in St. Paul, while Marwayne and Wainwright are at -13 degrees, and Vermilion and Provost are at -12, and Edmonton's a bit warmer at -8. Switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they have cooled down quite a bit, as you can see as well. -18 in Green Lake and Pearson and Maidstone there, -20 in Isle Across and Meadow Lake, while St. Walburg is at -19, as well as down in North Battleford, and Macklin is sitting at -13. But for North Battleford, overnight tonight, they will be going down to a low of -25, so they will be cooling down quite a bit throughout the night for their evening low, and tomorrow they will be seeing another cooler day at -17 as well. Switching over to Cold Lake, overnight they'll be going down to a low of -25 there, so they will be cooled down quite a bit, so make sure you are trying to stay warm throughout the night if you are going outside whatsoever, and tomorrow they will warm up to -14, but they will be still seeing a cooler day. And for here in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of -21. We will be seeing some slight cloud coverage throughout the night. Tomorrow we will see a cloudier day there at -12, so we are cooling down quite a bit. But for now, I want to show off some of your photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted some photos online. You know, I love my sunset pictures. We got a lot of nice sunset photos posted to our online page, so you can submit photos, and I will use them throughout the week on my weather segments. But look at this beautiful sunset photo here, and the next one, another beautiful one there. Thank you to everyone that was able to get some good photos and submit them, and that's all I have for now. We'll have more coming up after the break. Welcome back. Snow on the ground means that wildlife may be looking for other food sources, including hay bales. If wildlife finds your feed supply, you might be able to get compensation. Jillian Code has the details.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by Darcy Warner. He is the Executive Director of Insurance with the Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation. Now, farmers have had a really tough year in regards to feed and the drought. The last thing farmers need right now is wildlife damaging their feed. But Darcy, SCIC does have coverage plans for that.
Yeah, so our wildlife damage compensation program provides the 100% compensation on any damage caused by wildlife. So that would be for winter feed, stack feed in yards. It also covers for market gardens and mini orchards, so orchards that people have on their farms. So producers don't need to be existing customers of Saskatchewan Crop Insurance to register a claim. So this is a compensation program provided by Canada and Saskatchewan. You should, as soon as you notice the damage to your stacked bales, you need to notify crop insurance. Our program starts from the time the damage is reported to us, so it's not a retroactive program. So the compensation for damage for bales stacked is in place as long as reasonable prevention measures are taken. So part of the work that we do when our adjusters come out to the farm, they will suggest things that a producer could do to prevent this loss or to minimize the loss that's occurring. And we expect producers to follow up on that. If there's a cost attributed to that, for the most part, it's paid for by Saskatchewan Crop Insurance or by the wildlife program. But producers are liable for or responsible for the cost of the labor. So an example that might be if you have a herd of elk coming into your bales in your yard, we can assist with either temporary fencing that could be put up for this year, and then we might suggest that you put up a high wire game fence around your stackyard. And if that's the case, we would provide compensation for the materials to build that fence, but it would be the producer's responsibility to put the fence up and to maintain it. So producers won't be compensated for unstacked bales if they're in the field. So the bales have to be in a place where they could be protected if those prevention measures could be put into place. The one exemption to that might be if you were using bales in an alternate feeding system. So if you had a fence around, you're gonna feed your livestock out on the fields and you have those bales staged out there, that would be a different example. So the adjusters can help out with that. But in those cases, you just have to make sure you let us know ahead of time before you put your livestock in there, so that we can come out and establish how much production's on that field, and then that would start your claim, and we could pay for any damage that occurred after that.
And I know it could vary, but how long would a claim process take?
Yeah, with stacked forage, it ends up being a pretty long process because the animals will feed there all winter if the prevention measures don't keep them out. So, lots of times those claims will start now. When we get some snow and some cold temperatures, then the wildlife will start coming into the yards, and they'll stretch out lots of times until we get into March or when the fields start to get some bare spots. So that claim could be ongoing for from December till March. And we make sure we'll get out there a few times over the winter to check in and see how it's going on the farm. So the adjusters would visit that farm a few times over the winter to help where they can.
And where can producers look for more information about this?
Yeah, so you could call our local office for sure. So we have 21 customer service offices across the province, so they can phone their local office, or our webpage has some really good information on there. It's scic.ca.
That was all the questions that I had prepared. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, one thing, if I could, last summer with the drought that was going on in Saskatchewan, the Canada and Saskatchewan put together an agri-recovery program. So it's for immediate relief for livestock producers. So producers don't have to be enrolled in our crop insurance programs again. It's funding is provided. We're administering the program, but it's provided by Saskatchewan and Canada. So that initiative consists of 2 payments. The total for both payments is $200 a head for any eligible female breeding cattle. And then we have an adjustment. So we do an equivalency for other types of livestock. So there's other types of livestock that would be covered, but they wouldn't be at a 1, if you would. So it might not be $200 for a goat, for instance. So we just want to remind producers that if they've already applied for payment 1, which lots of people have, the second payment application has to be done as well. So there's 2 parts to that. So there would have been like $100 that got paid when the program was announced last summer, and the other $100 can be paid now if they complete that application.
Yeah, that's a good reminder for producers. Darcy, thank you so much for your time today.
You bet, Jillian. Thank you.
Now we'll take a look at your agriculture prices. Saturday night, the exhibition center was buzzing with excitement for the first stop in the professional bull riding 2022 season. Josh Howerlack has the results from the PBR Winter Classic.
Over the weekend, the PBR Winter Classic took over the exhibition center, with 10 riders from around the world doing their best to hold on for 8 seconds to get a score. In the end, Marcos Gloria from Brazil and Blake Smith from Saskatchewan tied for the event win. This marked a first career event win for Smith. Both finished with 2 full rides each with a combined 2-ride score of 170.5.
Eu me sinto muito feliz. Ano passado não consegui. I'm very happy I could not compete here the last 2 years due to COVID. And this is very important. We win the first event of the 22 season, right? I'm very happy.
Smith's first ride scored the highest of the night with 87 points, combined with his second of 83.5, matching Gloria's 85 and 85.5 point rides. With this event win, Gloria took first place in the PBR Canada standings with 25 points leading into the 2022 season.
Bem mais confiança. Você já chega. It's very important because it gives you that confidence. You already start with the right food, so that helps a lot. For sure, is the confidence. That's one of the more important things for me, to start with the right food, pretty much. So.
Third place was also a tie, with Meadow Lake local Cody Coverchuk and Aaron Roy both scoring 167 points after their 2 rides. After winning last season, Coverchuk is looking to become the first rider in PBR Canada history to win back-to-back seasons. Josh Howerlack, Primetime Local Sports.
Now Shelby Clark will take a second look at tonight's weather.
Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking another look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with the central region of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, some are seeing slightly warmer temperatures compared, -8 in Jasper and Edson, while Edmonton is at -9 degrees, -10 in Whitecourt, while Rocky Mountain House is at -11, and Athabasca and Red Deer at -13, -14. Switching over to the Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing, as you can see, slightly more cooler temperatures here. Cold Lake is at -18 as well as here in the border city. Meadow Lake is at -21 as well as down in North Battleford there. Prince Albert is at -22. Melfort is the coldest at -24 degrees, and Saskatoon is sitting at -18. As we switch over to our northern region of the provinces, they are actually seeing a lot of what the Saskatchewan side is seeing in the central region. What we are seeing in the northern region here, it is -21 in most spots on the map. Stony Rapids is the coolest, sitting at -28, almost even reaching the -30 mark. -23 in Wolston Lake, while it's -24 to -26 in -26 to La Ronge to South End there on the map. But switching over to this side here, they are seeing slightly warmer temperatures, especially down over in this area here. Still cooler enough though. Grand Prairie and Peace River at -16. Slave Lake is sitting at -17 degrees, -23 in Fort McMurray, while high level is at -27. And Fort Chipewyan has reached that -30 mark there. As we switch over to our southern region of the provinces, they are seeing slightly warmer temperatures, kind of what we are seeing in the central region here. Lethbridge is at -11. While Medicine Hat is at -12, -9 in Calgary, and Banff is at -10, and Coronation is sitting at -18. Switching over to this end here, they are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side, -14 in Swift Current, while Moose Jaw is at -15, -16 degrees in Kindersley. Regina is sitting at -17 as well as down in Estevan, and Yorkton is hitting -21. As we go back across the region, the temperatures overnight tonight, we are cooling down quite a bit as we are reaching past those -20 points. Provost will be seeing a low of -18, a low of -20 for Murnum, while Wainwright will be seeing a low of -21, and the rest will be ranging from around -24 and -25 degrees across the board. So we are cooling down quite a bit, but Murnum won't be seeing as much clouds in sight, while Unity, Wainwright, and Provost will be seeing more cloudier skies. And now looking at our 7-day forecast for here in the border city. Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll see some cloudier skies with -12 on Tuesday, seeing 1 on Wednesday, but we will be seeing a high chance of some flurries. So get ready to see some more snowfall later on in the week. Thursday, we'll see -4 with a little bit more of a mix of sun and cloud there. Friday, we'll see some more sun, and we will be seeing a warmer weekend on Saturday and Sunday with -1 on Saturday and -5 on Sunday. And starting off next week, we'll be cooling down just a bit to -9 to start off next week. But to brighten up your day, we're going to be seeing another photo submission. Thank you to everyone that submitted online. I will be using them throughout my weather segments throughout the week. So if you have some more beautiful pictures like this beautiful sunset here, you know I love my sunset photos. Please go online and you can submit them and I will use them. But thank you to Scott for submitting this one. This one is gorgeous. And that's all I have for now. We'll have more coming up after the break.
Well, Sunday afternoon, Canadian football fans were glued to their televisions to watch the CFL semi-finals. Now joining me to discuss both the East and the West games is our CFL expert, Jace Mackey. Jace, thanks for taking this time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Jace, you know, quite often in the playoffs, we see new heroes emerge for different teams. One that comes to my mind is back in 2015, Greg Ellingson. With the Ottawa Red Blacks, he helped them cash a ticket to the Grey Cup. Well, this past weekend, we saw a new hero emerge for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Dane Evans. Just tell us a little bit about his performance.
Yeah, Dane had himself a great game in that Eastern final. So Hamilton is advancing to the Grey Cup. They beat Toronto 27-19 to head to the Grey Cup. And Jeremiah Mazzoli was actually the starting quarterback for Hamilton. He's been their starter for much of the second half of this season and, won them that East semifinal. But things didn't get off to the best start for Hamilton, and Hamilton's coach, Alwando Steinhauer, decided to put Dane Evans in actually in the second quarter, and Hamilton was trailing 12-0 at the half and managed to turn things around in the second half. He went 16 for 16 for 249 yards and a touchdown. So had himself a great performance. I expect him to be the starter for Hamilton as they try to win a Grey Cup at home in Hamilton. One thing I will say about that game as well is Hamilton's defense did a good job of making Toronto settle for field goals. So when they were losing 12-0, that was all off of field goals. So it could have been a lot worse, and it could have been a lot bigger kind of hill for Hamilton to try and get over top, but it was a smaller lead for Toronto, and they were able to come out on top of that game and win the Eastern Division.
Jace, just talking a little bit about defense, jumping out west, the Saskatchewan Roughriders traveled to Winnipeg, and this was a game filled with turnovers.
Yeah, I think going into this game, Saskatchewan, they were big underdogs, and one key in my mind to this game was to turn the ball over and capitalize on turnovers. And if you're a Saskatchewan Roughrider fan, in that first half especially, you must have been so happy to see all those turnovers that Winnipeg's offense, or the amount of times that Winnipeg turned that ball over. I think, honestly, there was a combination of probably that cold weather. It was a snowy day in Winnipeg, and also Winnipeg hadn't played a meaningful game since late October that led to those turnovers. But the thing is, if Cody Fajardo and that Saskatchewan offense was not able to capitalize on those turnovers, so it did help by, taking touchdowns for Winnipeg off the board. There's a nice interception in the end zone for Saskatchewan. But at the end of the day, Saskatchewan wasn't able to capitalize on those turnovers. Winnipeg had 6 turnovers. 3 of them were interceptions. The offense did play well, but they did turn the ball over quite a bit. But at the end of the day, Winnipeg was a better team. And when you're playing a team that well, you needed those turnovers. And even with 6 turnovers, the Riders weren't able to do it. Winnipeg's best team in the league in the regular season, and they had themselves a good game on Sunday.
All right, Jay, so we know the two teams going into this upcoming weekend, Sunday, December 12th. For the first time since 2009-2010, between the Montreal Alouettes and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Grey Cup will see a rematch. Now, back in 2019, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won that one 33-12. Earlier this season, the Blue Bombers beat the Ticats 19-6. Quickly here, Jace, who do you like and what do you predict will be the score here?
Now, it's very interesting that we're having a rematch because coming into this season, I think Hamilton was a team that a lot of people thought were going to be strong. Winnipeg people thought would be a competitor in the East, but they really showed to be quite dominant throughout the regular season. And Hamilton actually had, I think they lost 3 in a row starting the regular season, and they had to battle back to be able to try and become competitive. They didn't even win the Eastern Division the regular season. They had that East semi, and they were able to win their way to a home Grey Cup. So that's really huge for them to be able to come off of some early adversity in the beginning of the regular season and make their way to the Grey Cup at home in Tim Hortons Field. I am, though, going to pick Winnipeg to win this game. I think it's hard to go against the record that they had in the regular season and the team that Mike O'Shea has around him in Winnipeg. I do think it's going to be a lot closer than some people may think. I am going to say 30 Winnipeg, 27 Hamilton. The things that I think are going to be helpful for Hamilton is having that home field behind them, being at Tim Hortons Field. I know that it's really hard for opposing teams to win in Hamilton. And I think another thing that's going to be an equalizer is the weather. We haven't had a Grey Cup this late ever in the CFL, so it should be a fun game on Sunday.
Jace, I think I agree with you on the outcome. Maybe not quite on the score, but I guess we will have to wait and see this upcoming Sunday, December 12th. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Jace, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks a lot, Evan.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Jill Schillebeer with the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much, Shelby. Happy to be here.
Now, we're here speaking about ACWS teaming with the Legal Education Society of Alberta to provide domestic violence training to legal professionals. What can people expect in this training?
This is a really great training. So as some people know, the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters has a double-pronged mission. We support our members who run sheltering organizations all across the province, but we also work in gender-based violence prevention. And under our banner of Leading Change, we've been providing education to Albertans in community groups and sports teams, schools for years and years. And when the new changes to the Divorce Act came into effect earlier this year, we thought, what a great opportunity to help support lawyers in learning about coercive controlling violence, which is the most lethal form of domestic violence. So what folks can expect in the training, the legal professionals who come to it, is really getting a sense of how that type of violence operates, what it looks like, how to recognize it, some practical skills for starting the conversation with their clients to assess whether or not they're in a situation of domestic violence. They can understand some of the tools that shelters use to get a sense of the experiences of danger that a woman might be in, and understand more about shelter services and supports that are available that they can partner with and help them go through the process of supporting a client who's experiencing domestic violence.
Now, how was this idea originally started to have this domestic violence training sessions, especially for legal professionals?
Well, it really rooted in the long history that we have of public education and having community conversations. We, Leading Change is really it's a community-based model of creating a culture change that will move us away from a culture that allows for violence to happen. And so when we were learning more about the Divorce Act changes and how they were coming into play, and we saw the way that domestic violence was defined in the Divorce Act as of March of this year, really aligned closely with that coercive controlling definition that's been in the social services sector since the 80s, we saw just a really great marriage there. And so we decided that we were going to take leadership on this issue, move the needle forward and make some change with legal professionals and really support them going forward. And we were so lucky when we reached out to the Legal Education Society of Alberta to partner in terms of the delivery of the training. They were incredibly generous and supportive and were on board right away.
Would we be able to speak on why ACWS finds this so important to have and how it'll benefit legal professionals in the long run?
One of the things that's really challenging anytime you're talking about domestic violence, whether it's in a workplace setting, with a friend or a family member at school, or with a colleague or a client, starting the conversation can seem overwhelming. Starting the conversation is the piece that often holds us back from getting what's been hidden in the dark out into the light. And looking at the positive obligation that lawyers will have going forward to screen for domestic violence, we just thought it was so important to help them move forward with that conversation and how to start it, and those practical skills around bringing it up in a way that isn't victim blaming, bringing it up in a way that encourages folks to disclose, and also having the tools and resources they need at hand if someone does disclose.
For people that are interested and can't participate, how else can they get involved in this training session?
So the training session is available in 2 formats through the Legal Education Society of Alberta, and an individual could register for one or other. So it's either a live stream on the day of or in person. We have a limited number of spaces to offer in person. If folks are interested, I would encourage them to contact the Legal Education Society of Alberta at lesaonline.org, lesaonline.org, or you can reach out directly to Leading Change, and we can come in through Alberta Council of Women's Shelters to your workplace and offer sessions directly there. And we can be reached at leadingchange@acws.ca.
Thanks again so much for giving us your time today, Jill.
Thanks, Shelby, and thanks for helping us share this with more people.
We'll be ending off with taking another look at your 7-day forecast. Here Tuesday, we will be seeing -12, so we cool down quite a bit with a lot more cloudier skies. Wednesday, we will be seeing a higher chance of some snowfall there, so expect to see some more snow coming up later in the week, but we will be seeing one on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll see -4 with a mix of some sun and clouds, so hopefully that sun will warm up the day there. And Friday, starting off the weekend, we will be seeing more sun as well with -5 on Friday, so hopefully it'll be a warmer day with that sun. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see a warmer weekend with -1 on Saturday with a mix of some sun and cloud, and Sunday ending off slightly cooler at -5 with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. So get some Christmas shopping done if you need, because it's going to be a beautiful weekend compared to last. And Monday will be starting off next weekend at -9.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News, and have a great rest of your night.